today I'm going to talk about student experience. I'm going to particularly focus on student experience at the University of Dundee within the School of Science and Education. For me, student experience is a full picture of everything we do for our students from the day that they start the university right through to the day of graduation. One definition of student experience which I really like is that it's a world-class education so that students can achieve their full potential. That's what we're trying to do when we talk about student experience. A world-class education so that students can achieve their full potential. The reason I really like this definition is because it puts education in the centre. And at the end of the day, what we're all about is trying to provide the best education for the people that come through our doors. However, that's got to be about more than just the formal learning and teaching. Quite often students are spending 4-5 years of their life with us, and we've got to really think about that full life experience. One of the quotes I really like that I think explains what I mean here is from Stephen Fry. He says that education is the sum of what students teach each other in between lectures and seminars. You sit in each other's rooms and drink coffee. I suppose it would be vodka and Red Bull now. You share enthusiasms. You talk a lot of wank about politics, religion, art and the cosmos. And then you go to bed alone or together according to taste. I mean, how else do you learn anything? How else do you take your mind for a walk? And I think that really shows the fact that student experience is about things that happen between the classroom as well as within the classroom. We build up student experience in a series of building blocks, a series of steps from the day they start to graduation. So the first thing is you want to have a really good student recruitment experience. You want to have good open days, for them to hear back quickly about any applications they've made, and to feel that they're really valued as students the moment they walk in the door. We want them to have a great teaching and learning experience. As I said, it's all about education, and that means giving them a really good teaching and learning experience. However, so to be careful not to conflate the two. Teaching doesn't necessarily imply learning and vice versa, and actually the really important part is the learning of the student. We want good extracurricular experiences. We want them to feel that they've learned something at university other than just their degree course. We want them to have pastoral care when required. Now, I put this fairly along the step ladder because at the moment it seems that lots of our third years are requiring some pastoral care, but it can be at any point in the process and we should be ready for that. We also want them to graduate with their next steps in place, what's going to be next in their life. So we are taking them from a foundation of recruitment right through to their careers. One of the things I think about when I think about student experience is at graduation day, when I see the students walking across the stage, especially the ones that have studied computing, would I happily get in a plane that they've coded? I'll leave that with you. Would you get in a plane that your students have programmed? For other disciplines, perhaps mechanical engineering, would you get into a plane where the students have designed the engine? Would the civil engineers get into a plane knowing that the runway has been designed by their students? Anatomists have a really important role as well in teaching our future doctors. Would you like to be operated on by a doctor that's been taught by one of our anatomists? What we're doing in our degree in these building blocks is building up really important skills that will affect the lives of other people as well as our students. And that is something that I think we'd be really, really proud of. And that is what we're trying to do with our full student experience. So, how do we measure this? Well, I think actually the first question is probably more, why do we measure this? Why do we measure student experience at all? The answer is so we can keep improving. We don't want to be static. We want to keep doing better. I think we do quite a good job already, but we want to keep that improving and doing better. If we're going to improve, that means that if we uncover something when we're measuring student experience, we need to act on it. Later this afternoon, we'll find out what all of our disciplines have done this year to try and improve their student experiences for their students. So how do we measure? Well, there's two things really. There's the internal measures, the things we do within the university, that we keep within the university, and the external measures that are done out with the university on our students. Internal measures, the one that I think we often forget, but in many ways is the most important, is just speaking to our students. Our students know what they like, what they don't like, and actually if there's any problems, they'll often come up with really creative solutions to help us solve them. So I think that's actually one that should be really important and we should keep at the forefront of our mind when talking about student experience measurements. We also have in-module questionnaires, end-of-module questionnaires that give a formal overview per module. And staff student liaison committees in our school have a really important role in helping us find out what's going on throughout the year. There's also the external measures. The one that we'll talk about mostly today is the National Student Survey, which is the one that goes to all undergraduates at the end of their before they graduate. We've got the International Student Survey that goes to all students. It's called the International Student Barometer. We've got the Postgraduate Taught Experience Survey, which goes to postgraduate students. That may be changing. More about that later on. And we've also got Destination of Leavers of Higher Education, which is all about the employability and where they are currently within 6 months. That will be longer going forward. Now, I think when we talk about surveys, it's important to be honest and say there are some issues with the survey. In particular, recently with NSS, there's been quite a lot of issues. There was a National Union of Students boycott organised last year on NSS because they were annoyed that it was going to go into the TEF, or the Teaching Excellence Framework, which may cause fees to rise. So last year, there were some student groups that chose not to take part in the NSS. This was then echoed by the University and College Union supporting that boycott and telling students, please don't submit the NSS, which meant that some of the data might not have been as accurate as we would have liked. There's also a real growing evidence of anti-female bias in student surveys. This article here is actually all about student surveys done on modules, but it showed a real 11% points less to hate promotion threshold than men are, which is something we've got to be really aware of. And I'm sure those sorts of things can happen in the NSS as well. We do know in the NSS that biased students give VME, so Black and Minority Academics, lower NSS scores. That's from a university in Reading. This is not a good thing. This is something we definitely don't want to promote. We've also got newspapers like The Guardian saying that NSS, or National Student Survey, should be abolished because it takes so much academic time and so much work within the university. And we've got key people saying that the results are not statistically significant. So this is an article by Lord David Lipsey, who's a Labour MP, saying that NSS is garbage because the results are not statistically significant and shouldn't be trusted. I think there is some evidence on that, some truth in that. If you look at just 1 year of NSS data on one cohort, it's probably not going to be enough students to be statistically significant. But what we could do, and to be a great maths project for anyone who's interested in an honours maths project, is look across the data, and then you'd have enough to get statistical significance. So, there are issues with NSS. I'm not going to stand here and say that there's not. However, it's really important to us. And the reason it's important is because it's how students make decisions about which university to go to. If you look at Unistats, which is a website that students are told to use to compare courses, I've put in 3 courses here. I've put in Applied Computing at Dundee, Maths at Dundee, and Civil Engineering at Dundee. First thing you find is overall I'm satisfied with the quality of the course. That's the overall NSS scores, and that's the first thing they see. Going down, you get the scores for the teaching on my course, the learning opportunities, assessment and feedback, academic support, organisational management, learning resources, and the learning community and the student voice. I'm sure you can see that these are just statistics taken straight out of the NSS. So it is being used to make these decisions. In regards to the other surveys, they are in Unistats, but they're on different tabs. So for example, the National Lease of Hires and Education, if you click on Employer and Accreditation, you can then see salary information for typical salaries, average salary in different ranges, what percentage go on to work or study, and employment 6 months after the course is finished, and whether the course is accredited. So the other surveys are all there, but they're not the first one. They're not the thing you see when you open Unistats and you actually do these comparisons of courses. So, given that, we need to have an NSS strategy. For me, because the NSS happens every year, this has to be a circle. So this year, We've had our short discipline meetings where we talk to each discipline for 15 minutes about their NSS results and give some ideas of things that they could do going forward. The disciplines went away and met with students to decide on what improvements to do together. I think these meetings with students are really important because it's important that students have ownership of this data and feel that something's happened based on this survey. After that, today, we're all about sharing the best practice that we've uncovered. And there's also going to be presentations the fourth year, explaining the changes from last year and asking them to complete the survey. What we're doing here is saying, this is really important. We do change things based on this. Please make sure you complete it so that we can make the degree better going forward. And that cycle will start again next year. So NSS is an ever-going cycle. Okay. The last thing I really wanted to say is I think it's really easy when looking at NSS results and when looking at surveys in general to concentrate on the negatives, to say, oh, we've gone down a bit there, we need to do something about that. And to forget to say, we've done some great things as a school as well. We have a lot to celebrate within our school. We have graduates who've gone on to have really exciting employment opportunities. So this is a Dundee virtual reality specialist raising awareness of accessibility issues. This is Claire Dahl, one of our computing graduates. We have students helping us to be ambassadors for our school, looking very happy and colourful there. We have students taking part in national competitions. We have students who've graduated coming back and saying, I really enjoyed my time in Dundee and I want to give a bursary to future students. We have a student who's going to CERN for a whole year next year as on a placement, which is a fantastic opportunity for him. We have the Civil Engineering Society talking about going to Edinburgh to see the new bridge and learn more about the bridge and how they organise that trip for their peers. The Math Society is going all the way to Prague, I presume to learn more about mathematics there. Although I wonder if it's more of a social thing, but obviously I didn't say that. We had 3 students go to China to take part in an international competition and come home with a prize. We've had quite a lot of interdisciplinary work within the university, within the school, in particular the Global Health Challenge, so some of our students work on that. And the Meditronic HoloLens project has been a huge success as an internal interdisciplinary project. We've got students talking and blogging about the new life, moving from India to be at the school and how proud they are to be at University of Dundee and in the School of Science and Engineering. We've got students taking part in the Venture Scheme, which is a scheme that allows them to bid to start a company on their honours project after they graduate. We had 2 finalists for that, and I think one has actually won that to start their own company, which is fantastic news. We have students just saying, come to Dundee University, I've really enjoyed it because I can get to the Highlands, I can get to the countryside, making the most of the resources they've got available to them. We have students saying, we want to learn more about test-driven development, so we've organised to go to a company where test-driven development happens, and we'll really talk to them about test-driven development and have that as a visit. And we also have our really successful summer school in China, so we're giving people international experiences as well as industrial and local ones. As I said, we've got a lot to celebrate, so I want to end by saying thank you to everyone who's done anything to help with student experience this year, and I know that's all of you. So thank you very, very much, and I look forward to celebrating again at graduation this year.